We continue to follow breaking news out of Washington, D.C. tonight, where the U.S. Senate has passed sweeping immigration reform legislation. The historic bill would put 11 million people living in the U.S. illegally on a path to citizenship and establish a military-style surge on the U.S.-Mexico border. The vote far surpassed the majority needed to send that bill on to the House. But the bill will face strong opposition from conservatives there. Republican Congressman Bill Huizenga joining us live on the phone right now. Congressman, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, Andy. Thanks for having me on.
Well, we thank you for your time. They're calling it the Border Security Economic Opportunity Immigration Modernization Act of 2013. It's a mouthful, but not since the Reagan era have we seen this. Many of your constituents will fall into this category of undocumented. Can you tell us how you'll vote if it does come to a vote in the House?
Well, we know, though, that the Senate bill isn't going to be taken up as is in the House. The Speaker of the House and our leadership has said very clearly that we've got our own process that we're going through. And at the end of the day, Andy, I want an immigration reform that works for West Michigan, that works for national security, and is good for our economy.
Representative Huizenga does have lots of bipartisan support in the Senate. Were you surprised to see so many of your Republican colleagues getting on board with this? And what are your primary objections to the bill as it is now?
Well, it's about a third of the Republican caucus actually voted for it. There was 14 out of the 46, 47 members that they have. And part of the problem is that we're not sure exactly what all is in it. This is a 1,200-page bill that was passed. And by the time that they had struck the agreement on the border security, I mean, there was a lot of people at the beginning of the week and the end of last week that were predicting that this was not going to pass the Senate at all. Wednesday is when they did the border security agreement. That seemed to bring on the real momentum. But there was a huge amount of text and provisions that have been added in less than 48 hours. And I'm afraid that we are going to once again see a bill here that they had to pass to find out what's actually in it. The House is going to take a much more methodical process to it.
Tell me what you think about the border security surge. We're talking 20,000 more patrol jobs and also, of course, hundreds of miles of fencing built. Doesn't that seem a little incongruous with allowing 11 million illegal immigrants to be naturalized U.S. citizens?
Well, it's $46 billion is the price tag attached to that as well, and it is truly the largest militarization of a border that we've had since probably any of the wars and security there. Part of the problem that we have here is that we are in this situation once again. You know, in 1986, there was border security provisions that were put in place. We went from 3 million people that received the amnesty, and that was an outright amnesty bill. This I would say is different than that. But now there's an estimate of 13 million. What we need to make sure there isn't is a third wave of that, another time where we're going to be having to deal with this. So we know that we have to have a secure border. We have to have enforcement of current and future laws, and we have to build a long-term system that works. And so far, I'm not convinced that the Senate bill does that, but we're going to be taking a much closer look.
And we'll see how this issue fares in the House shortly here. Congressman Bill Huizenga, representing Michigan's 2nd District, we thank you for your time tonight.
Hey, thanks. Good to be with you.
And we continue to stay on top of the immigration reform debate, and we'll let you know just as soon as anything on that develops.
Well, meanwhile, Nelson